there, and welcome to this edition of the SoCal VW Scene, brought to you by Tooltech Motorworks at the wonderful Schnee Brothers Museum. We have a special guest today, Rich Kimball. We'll get to him in a minute, but we'd like to talk about some of the past events, what's been happening in the VW scene. I'd like to begin with the Bug-In this year. Fantastic. Class. It's really been growing this the drag racing scene, and that's real street. That's been ultra cool.
Super cool.
And we have a great car show. It was one of the biggest Bug-Ins in a long time. And although he doesn't like to be called Mr. Bug-In, we'll find out about that later. Mr. Rich Kimball, the purveyor of the Bug-In, is with us today.
Yep. Welcome, Rich.
We also want to congratulate the Deeks on another one of their carbs and coffee. We went and hung out there a couple weeks back, just ahead of Hillary. And we had a good time. If you haven't tried that and shown up for it, do so. It's just a hangout with a lot of VW people, and it's a tremendous event, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to let my beautiful co-host, Amber, talk about the Capistrano Valley VW Takeover.
Yeah, so it's my first time going to that one. It's kind of replacing the Bob. So we used to have a Bob Baker show, and that's kind of gone away through COVID and everything like that. So if you go up the coast just a little bit from San Diego or down just a little bit from LA, somewhere meeting in the middle is the Capistrano Car Show. So by the way, welcome. Also, thank you for all being here. Make sure you hit subscribe so you get notifications when we sign on. The Capistrano show was great. They had a really good variety of prizes and raffles and awards and all of that. It's a beautiful location, lots of parking.
Yeah, we're going to talk about raffles here in a little bit.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me. So yeah, that was the show was great. It was class act setup for the event.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
And a rarity, it was free. I mean, free, no charge, and they do a good job of setting it up, and the dealership does a great job of clearing the lot and letting all the cars in.
But what better publicity can you get, right? Like, I've driven up the coast and I've seen the dealership, and I saw like one vintage bus out front. I'm like, that's cool. But you can see it from the freeway, and to have it like stacked with Volkswagens, that's an eye opener. I think would get people's attention.
They also are a sponsor of the Bug-In and the Hot VW's Drag Days.
Yes.
They are a series sponsor in the drag racing, and Mr. Kimball, I know, and the whole Kimball family appreciate everything the Capistrano Valley VW dealership does.
So glad to have the show. Yeah.
And I'd like everybody a free T-shirt.
And a free that's right.
Hamburger.
That's right. They gave a free hamburger and a free T-shirt.
Yeah, it was a good show. A lot of fun.
So, and a lot of us went, and if you've never gone, it's worthwhile. I highly suggest you go. The other thing we want to talk about is Big Wednesday.
Big Wednesday.
And Big Wednesday was special, and also it was a sad Big Wednesday in a way, because our normal cook, Hot Dog Fred, wasn't there. As you all know, Hot Dog Fred passed away somewhere back in, was it June, I believe? And we missed Hot Dog Fred. But the cool thing was the Kimballs, who are always thinking about everything for their events, they make a sticker for Big Wednesday, and the surfer guy, it's holding a hot dog, surfing in the waves. So that was a very cool deal. Then we want to talk about Vermilion Fest, and we want to ask Amber to tell us about the raffle, besides telling us about the event.
So first, let's talk about the event. Mission Avenue Cruisers has put this on for several years. They do a great job. It's a beautiful venue. There's a winery, which, I appreciate. And then on top of that, they have food and vendors and all kinds of fun stuff. And then they have a great raffle, and they pull coolers out and all kinds of great things. You get vintage coolers, and then they raffle a car.
And somebody won that car. I think it might have been you.
It was me. I won the car. So I won a Baja Bug at the Vermilion Fest raffle. I always buy tickets just to support the events. And when they looked up and they're like, well, somebody's not going to be able to drive this car home today because I brought a car to the show. And then they called my name, and everybody at the table was like, what? No way. And fixed. I'm not part of the club. I didn't have any. I bought my tickets. I was actually explicitly instructed that morning, get home in time before the rain, because Hillary was coming, my husband, Leo. and don't buy tickets today and win a car. Well, I did not buy tickets today. I bought tickets 2 weeks ago and I won a car.
So I'd like to make a little note on that. Leo Zent posted after she won the car, she posted the car, and his one word was
crap.
Shit. Another car.
Another car.
It's not like the Zent family doesn't already have enough cars.
It's obnoxious. Well, when I met him, he had one, and now he has one, and I have 5.
Then the last previous event we want to talk about, we're going to let Mr. Kimball talk about it because he went there and we didn't. Buses by the beach.
Oh, that was just last week.
Yeah,
talk to the mic.
Oh, talk to the mic. Well, they're always fun because it's, Saturday morning and go down there and cruise over to Turks for breakfast.
Oh yeah, Turks for breakfast. Very good place.
Very, very good. It was a fun show, and the weather was good. The imaginary Hillary hadn't shown up yet.
Yeah, didn't you say it was a little bit lightly attended because Hillary was?
I think the news broadcasters scared away a few people,
but it all turned out fine.
It turned out fine.
Now, was that one where they're parking on the pier, or is that just at the beach?
Down at the Deus Beach at Doheny.
So okay.
Parked right along the beach.
Oh, nice. Similar to how you set up at Big Wednesday.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I keep meaning to get up there. I haven't done one of those buses by the beach yet, but I will.
By the way, Big Wednesday was huge, and it's never advertised. So,
if you know, you know.
The second Wednesday in August. I didn't say that, but if you have a chance, and it's the second week in August, you should come down there.
Mm.
Now, I'd like to talk about something. It's a little bit of a sad note. We lost a dear friend and a man who meant the world to VW people. He worked in many, many VW stores. He had his own, Barrett Enterprises. He worked for IAP. He worked for AA. Was very much in the hot rod parts industry. And through my business, we interacted for a number of years. And he just recently passed away, and it was very unexpected. And his son, Kevin, is having a celebration of life. And anybody out there who knew the fantastic Ron Barrett is urged to come. It's on September 23rd. It's at the Via Verde Country Club in San Dimas. And there will be a bar there because like a lot of us VW freaks, we like to have a little cerveza every now and then. And we urge you, if you knew Ron at all, to come there. It's on September 23rd, and it starts at 11 a.m. till 3 o'clock. So it's a great day. There'll be a lot of great VW people there. We urge you to come.
Oh, it's a great show of respect. I hope everybody can make it out.
Yeah. Now we're going to move on to future events. I'd like to talk about the Treffin. This is oddly enough, Kimball family produced event. And what year is it for the Treffin? 9th?
Yeah, it's every other year. So we've been doing it for about 20 years. So this is, I think, the 9th or the 9th one, I think.
You say, well, it's a VW car show, but it's produced to be like German shows. They would call them Treffen, which means a meet, right? A VW meet. And this time it's out kind of on the way to Silverado Canyon, Lakeview Park, I think it's called. And it's out under the trees, and it's a beautiful area. And now there's a great view of Irvine Lake because Irvine Lake is back. So that makes it very cool. And yeah, I urge you to go. And if you're thinking about entering, do it now. Do it soon. There are running out of entries, and they shut it off at, I believe, 200.
I think 200.
And so I think they're closing in on that. So I know that Sonny will be there. And any of you that have an early car like Sonny or earlier, split windows, for 61 and earlier sedans, and buses would be 19.
Small tail light.
Same thing and earlier. So yeah, come on out.
This is different. There. This is different from the border to border Treffin. I think a lot of people get them confused. So there's like the Canada to Mexico group.
Yeah, that's a cruise.
Yeah, that cruises down, and then they all meet in San Diego, and then they disperse. But this is an annual event, like a get together, and I came for the first time last year.
Yeah, and I want to remind you, on Saturday is the Speedwell Rally, putting that on again this year, and it starts at Wolfsburg West. I'm going to guess probably around 8 o'clock in the morning at Wolfsburg West, and the rally is a lot of fun. It's not one of those rallies that tries to mess you up. You don't have to count miles. You don't have to do anything silly. We're not trying to lose you. We want you to go on a little cruise with a bunch of your buddies. It's a lot of fun. I actually took Mr. Kimball's convertible one year, and I remember it was raining, and I found out pretty quickly that in a convertible, if you go at least 25 to 30 miles an hour, the rain will come up over the top and come inside.
It depends on the rain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
This is a slight little, Southern California, other than Hillary recently, doesn't really have rain, as in hard rain. So, yeah, it's a great event. I suggest you come. Then, of course, on October 28th, there's an event put on by the Lions Museum.
I'm going.
And this is a pretty neat event because they're smart enough. It's all VW. They're smart enough to have the Schley Brothers Lightning Bug and a Darrell Vatone car inside the museum on the starting line. So if you go and you enter the car show, it's a little expensive. It's $50 to enter your car.
But this is the first one ever, right?
Yeah, and you get food, you get fed, and you get a tour of the museum. And if you've never been, it's a great event to go to. It's the first of its kind for VWs only. So I'm going to go. I recommend you go. And then on the 29th, the next day, it's the Hot VWs Drag Day. And we're looking forward to having a final in all the classes, Real Street, Outlaw Turbo. This event is going to end up with all our champions for the year, and we're excited about that. It's been a great season. All of the events so far have been fantastic, and we look forward to it.
Absolutely.
I'm told, I don't know anything about this. There's a Big Bear takeover on October 7th. You know anything about that?
that's Big Bear, but it's Big Bear AIR instead of Big Bear, and they do a really great show. So Google it if you don't know it. Yeah. Corey's over here chiming in. It's a good show. It's a nice event. It's a good cruise if you want to drive from San Diego. I think it's like 5 hours for me, but I think from LA it's probably a little less. So good show. I think I've seen photos from past years, and I know folks that go to it, and they like it's on their bucket list. They're going to go.
Yeah, and by the way, we want to thank our engineer, Corey Ryder, for the great job he always done of making Amber look good and making me look passable. So we also have our media guy in here. We'd like to give a shout out to Jeffrey Hicken. And we'd like to thank Shen Watanabe, the editor of Hot VWs Magazine, for attending again. And of course, the Schley Brothers for
shout
this
out.
Great location. And we have such a good time here doing this.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
The
Perfect.
next thing I have on my list.
I have some events too, right?
Excuse me. You go right ahead.
I was waiting.
You're doing a great job.
I'm trying to be patient. People say I'm pushy.
I like
so
it.
there are some events in Southern California that are on my radar. So one of them is the San Diego Air Cooled Crew puts on a fiesta. They shut down Seacoast Boulevard. They pack in 400 cars. They park out on the pier. They park out in the pavilion. They park out like the Bajas will be out in the sand. Maybe mine. I don't know. And then I manage camping that weekend. So there's camping in Imperial Beach. So if you're interested, reach out to me directly. I'll be setting that up. That is coming September 24th weekend. And then I'm putting on a memorial cruise. So I've historically done a Randar cruise since Randy Randar passed away. And unfortunately, very good guy. Unfortunately, we have a few names to our memorial cruise, and I think we're gonna do a cruise to support several of the folks that we've passed in the past few years. Sorry, a little choked up. Item number 3, Octo is on 10/14. So we do have an Octo coming up in October. The North County Air Cooled from San Diego, so Lee Hedges Group, they do an Oktoberfest at a brewery on 10/15. So the day after Octo.
Oh, geez.
That's it's a really fun event.
A brewery.
And they do a special beer for the event. So that's super fun. And then on Lucas Hand out of Arizona does an event, Volks Jam, on 10/20 through 23 for it out in Parker. So if you didn't make it to buses
Busted
by the
by the
bridge,
bridge.
make it to Parker for sure. Or if you did it and you loved it, make it to Parker
Come
as well.
again.
So we do have a lot of stuff still going on, and it's kind of exciting to see. But these are some things on my radar, which I'm looking forward to attending.
We love joining up every now and then and taking the trek down to San Diego because they put on great events. There's a bunch of cool people down there and nice cars. So it's really good. You know, the SoCal VW scene is the SoCal.
It is.
And that's from San Diego all the way up through past LA, up above Ojai. So there's a lot of territory, and we encourage people to go to other clubs' events and support them. And it makes everything better for everybody.
Yeah.
I also want to make some note about on September 10th at Belmont Shores. There's a big car show that Larry Hull from Pierside Parts puts on once a year. And it's all cars, but it's a really good show. And Belmont Shores is a cool area to do that at. Also on September 16th is Texas versus the World. The drag race in Texas has thrown down the gauntlet. And I know that Pat Downs is going. I know that Marvin's are going. The Red Baron, Eric is going. Yeah. And so it's going to be a great deal. I'm not saying you all have to go to Texas, but if you got nothing better to do,
go to Texas.
Go to Texas and root California on because they threw down the gauntlet. And
those Texas boys got some shit to talk. Whoa,
Yeah.
Bounty.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that we
My
can let
vote
that
is
happen.
for Pat Downs. I know Pat Downs has been working on his stuff really hard. He left CV Performance. He has his own business, and he's been doing a great job at it. So we're rooting for Pat Downs. No offense to the Texas guys. We think they're great, but
I love that they're
down.
doing this, right? I love that they've like thrown out the gauntlet.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, let's go, everybody. And
Oh,
then they're
yeah.
hosting. So like totally support that they're putting on this event. I want to support the event, but of course California has to win.
Yeah. Well, if the Flim Dogs still had a race car, we'd be going, but we don't. So anyway, that brings us to our special guest.
I have a piece of it too. Yeah,
Kimball
it's
has
pretty.
a piece of my race car. So, by the way, anybody here wants a piece of the race car? I brought a box of race car parts, and be happy to give you one. So.
I know a couple people who want one.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome our special guest, Rich Kimball, who doesn't like to be called Mr. Bug-In, although he produced the Bug-In for many years after the original Mr. Bug-In, which would have been Vic Wilson, put it on. So Mr. Kimball gives credit to where credit's due, but a lot of people still think of him as Mr. Bug-In. He and I have been friends for 56 years, and he's been married to the beautiful part of the Kimball family for 53 years. So
classy.
He has three favorites in his life besides Bobby: VWs, surfing, and motorcycles. So we're going to start off by letting our beautiful person here ask him about some of these things, vintage events, and etc.
Beard.
Yeah.
The beard's number 4 in your favorite things.
Every one of them.
Oh, beer. Beer is number 4 in your favorite things. Yeah. Well, they probably run tie for 4th, right? Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So why? Why Volkswagens? Why? Where did you start?
Where did I start? Well,
make sure this everybody's going to want to know this.
I got a Volkswagen in high school.
Okay. By accident, on purpose, by default?
Well, no, actually, as like a junior in the high school.
Okay.
I had a friend that was a year older and had a driver's license, and his family were original members of San Onofre Surf Club.
Okay.
And they happened to have a 61 or 2 Westphalia.
Oh.
And they would give him the Westphalia to go to the beach, and he would take me, which I can't believe my mom let me do that. And you could stay overnight down there then.
Yeah.
It wasn't a park. It was the club ran the beach.
Okay.
And just that experience of going surfing in that bus as a senior in high school, my grandmother had given me a ticket to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
But I got permission to turn it in for the money, and I bought a bus off one of the coaches. at Tustin High
A ticket
School.
to Hawaii in exchange for a Volkswagen.
Well,
bus.
pretty close.
Okay.
That says two things. It was a lot cheaper to go to Hawaii then.
and so
A lot
and
cheaper
the
to own a
buses
bus.
were a lot cheaper.
buses were a lot cheaper. So I got the Volkswagen bus in the same year my family moved from Tustin to Corona del Mar.
Okay.
So now when I got up in the morning, I could look out my window in my bedroom and see the last 20 feet of the Newport jetty, check the swell every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I either worked or went surfing in my Volkswagen.
In your Volkswagen. That's awesome.
And
I
that's
love
how
that.
I
Like,
got with the club. In that summer, 1966, I went down to San Miguel in Mexico.
Yes.
Where they used to have surf contests there.
Mhm.
And I met a guy, Bill Schuster, who was also recently passed away.
Yep. Miss you, Bill.
And he told me about the Newport Beach Volkswagen Club.
Mike.
and,
That
and the
mic.
meeting. Look at the mic.
Yeah.
Not you.
Talk to the mic.
well, you can hold it if you want to.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
I just want them to hear you because this stuff is
No, this
great.
is great. I love this.
So anyway, we were down in San Miguel, and Bill told me about the Newport Beach Volkswagen Club, which met on Tuesday nights at the Shakey's in Costa Mesa. And so the next week I was at the meeting, and after that it was Volkswagens and Volkswagen clubs and everything.
So what came first? Like the classic, the bug-in, Big Wednesday. Like how did all that, like you're like magically you went from like a kid who has a surfboard and a bus to like kind of ruling the world?
At one of the meetings at the Newport Beach Volkswagen Club, there was a rumor that this guy, Vic Wilson, was planning an event at the new Orange County Raceway, which had just opened. It was just opening. And I got picked to go meet with Vic and find out what was going on and see what the club could do to help and stuff like that. And I hooked up with Vic.
So a little sidebar here. Vic Wilson was a guy who was an off-road racer. He won one of the first 1000s with Drino Miller.
Two of them.
And so the first bug-in didn't just have a car show and drag racing. There was an off-road course. There was a rally slalom course.
And a cart, and a lot of dude and buggy vendors.
Yeah. And that was the area that Mr. Wilson lived in. And so he took, which was smart on his part, Rich's help, and the story goes on.
It just evolved. At the first event, I parked cars. And
Yeah.
next event, started pre-event promotion. Since I knew where every shop was in Orange County, I would drive around and put flyers and that kind of stuff. And then just, manage the trophies, manage the gate personnel, and just took on more jobs each time. And slowly but surely, about 1973 or 4, I became the general manager of his other business, Saddleback Park.
Okay.
And
there's the motorcycle part.
That's the motorcycle park. And then sort of took over running the bug-in. And then in 1980, when he sold Saddleback Park, I got the bug-in.
Oh, divide and conquer.
So in a little
1980 to now.
Wow.
And a little interjection. The bug-in and the events are not just Rich Kimball. It's the whole Kimball family. The whole family's been involved, There'll be one of the daughters at the gate, or the daughter at the gate.
Daughter.
Yeah, the daughter at the gate. One of the sons will be working part of it. And now that son, Andy Kimball, pretty much runs
He runs
now.
it. I'm retired.
He's the guy.
That's good handoff.
It's been a family affair, which
Yeah.
has been really neat. And they've been completely involved in all of it. Anyway.
No, I think that's awesome. So then when did it come in the classic? When did it come in the Treffin? When did it come in Big Wednesday? And Big Wednesday I'm interested in because I think at one point it was like, let's just take your Volkswagens out and surf. And now it's like,
yeah, it's skip work,
and
go surfing.
Okay, the classic came about because they closed Orange County Raceway in 1984.
Okay.
And so then there was no place to have drag races. So I decided to have a static car show. And I had a partner at the first one, Mike Hornbecker. He and I put on the first classic at
VW Classic.
yeah, at the Irvine Meadows parking lot. And it just sort of took off and got to be gigantic. We'd have 1,000 cars.
Yeah,
in the car
that's
show.
crazy.
Yeah, and Flim Dog got to run the bikini contest.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
until Mrs. Kimball said, enough.
Well, it wasn't just Mrs. Kimball. It was also the sponsor's wife.
Oh,
So make sure that
Oh, I'm
mic is
sorry.
here. No, I'm not trying to like. I don't know if it's better if you pull it over this way, like in a little
Better if
bit.
you can't hear me, but okay.
no.
I'm just
not at
making
all.
sure. Just making
Little
sure.
engineering issue. Here we go.
Yeah, just we'd probably need to like get the ones that like stretch so they fit your face.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Kimball.
Where were we? Oh, we
You
were
were
at the
talking about the
classic.
Uh-huh.
And the classic, it was a lot of fun and real successful. And it grew and grew and grew. And then finally one time I got a little ill at one of the events, and my wife decided that I was being too stressed. And for some reason we decided to sell it to the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
That was about 90 something.
That was based on dealing with the Irvine company, right?
No,
The city of Irvine.
was stressful. And so I still helped and helped put it on and did the toy show, which was my favorite. Naturally, the event that you sit around and make no money at is the favorite to do. And that became pretty good turnout. The hotel over by Orange County Airport, it was there. They were more of a weekday hotel because of the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the weekends they were pretty slow. And we became the largest weekend event they had of the year.
Wow.
We sold out the hotel.
So
That's
you got
awesome.
bonuses.
Got free room.
Free rooms.
Sure. No, that
And,
makes sense.
And then let me see. After that came Drag Day. Well, no, Big Wednesday popped in there about
Again, the surfing thing.
end of the 90s. It started off. We used to go surfing there a couple, 3 times a week, and on Wednesdays they have a group that would sit there and play music.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Bruce Myers was part of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and several others, and they just on Wednesday afternoons play music. So we're all there listening to the music, and a couple of us have Volkswagens, but I take my Toyota truck with my surfboard in it sometimes. So we all said, well, why don't we just all drive our Volkswagens down here one day? And so we did that, and the first time there was like 6 of us, and then there was 12 of us, and then it got up to be like 50 or 60 cars. And the state came along and said, well, you got to get a permit, for this. And
Thank
so
you very
on.
much.
So we did, and it got up to like 200 cars. And it's totally it's advertised if VW's has an article about it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But
After the fact.
there are no flyers. There are no ads. There are no websites. There are nothing. It's strictly, you better know it's the second Wednesday in August if you want to go.
Well, now the whole world knows.
And the wait sometimes is 2 hours at the top.
Oh, so
they only can you can only park so many cars on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they
My
stop.
argument is that we park them so well you could fit another 50 cars down there, but they have some magic number they came up with. And so at that point they stop the cars and form a line at the top of the hill. And
One in,
car
one out.
can go in when one car goes out. And there'll be a 2-hour wait.
I went for the first time last year, and we got up there and we rolled in at like 11 o'clock at night. We're like going to sleep in our buses and it's perfect. And they're like, you can't stay here overnight. We were cars 1, 2, and 3. And we were like, sweet, we're the first. And they're like, no, you're like the last. You just have to go. The other people already had to go. So we ended up like parking somewhere that we weren't supposed to be. And we slept in our buses, and like 1:30 in the morning, we rolled over. So this year we actually have some friends in Oceanside, and we all stayed over there and then jumped up in the morning and like 1 o'clock in the morning rolled over there. And by then we were like 30 cars deep. So they show up in droves. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
Mr. Kimball and I usually go about 4 in the morning, and we've always had a friend at the front of the line who kind of lets.
Hmm.
Yeah, lets
us
us
in.
in. And we
Yeah.
argue that if
Oh.
we get down there first, we can help park the cars so they don't just.
Yeah, they don't.
Oh,
fight
see,
all over the
he made
place.
it sound reasonable. You made it sound like you were cheating the system. You're like, oh,
We
friends
were.
are just going to let us in. And
Well,
then
there's a
Rich
big
is-
line at the front.
Yeah.
And we pull up to the front with 2 or 3 cars because we always wanted to get Fred in there.
Yeah.
And my son would be there with a double cab full of
Stuff,
all the stuff,
shirts and stickers and stuff.
And so
we actually had a guy talk to us this last one. We pulled in right in front of him, and he come over and talked to me. He goes, "Hey, you're cutting the line." And I explained to him, "Mr. Kimball's here, and we're putting on the show. He's putting on the show, and I help him. And we need to be up front because if we're at the end of the line, it's helter-skelter and it's chaos down there." And he finally realized that, and he said, "Oh, okay. Well, it's okay whether you said okay or not, but we needed to be there." Incidentally, I went from being the race director at the drag day and the hot beat-ups or the bug-in to the surf director. I run the surfing contest at the Big Wednesday. So I've always been fortunate enough to get a little sidebar job with the Kimball family on events.
low
and
key.
stuff. Yeah.
Super
It
easy.
doesn't matter your age,
Yeah.
male, female, whatever. You just had to bring your surfboard on a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's our only.
we had a good little group that all set up together, and we cooked some food and had snacks and all that stuff. It was a great time. Great
Yeah,
time.
the
I love
food's
it.
gotten really good over the years because everybody brings.
And the Kimball family or Mr. Kimball provides lunch at Big Wednesday. Everybody gets the coveted sticker. And
they fight for
plenty of
those
the buses got right along
Oh,
the
yeah.
side windows.
That's like a badge of honor to have like 10
Yeah,
stickers.
It's like the badge that you were there.
Mm-hmm.
you
The
know?
sticker started, I think, 2002.
Mm.
So, 20,
Yes.
20 some years.
Yeah.
We've made stickers.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I like to talk about the fact that you lived most of your life in Tustin.
Yeah, on the same street.
On the same, when your parents lived on that street.
My parents, we moved to Tustin in 1956.
Wow.
And we moved to Corona Del Mar in 1966. And then when my wife and I got married, we had a really cool apartment in Corona Del Mar for a year and a half or two. But then we wanted a house. So we came back to Tustin to look. And we bought an old, we bought an old Craftsman 20s house and lived in that for 14 years. And then
Thanks, Corey.
On B Street.
on B Street. And then we bought the house that we're in now in 1987. And it's the same street I lived on in high school.
That's crazy. That's really
So all
cool,
my
though.
kids, my grandkid, I go pick up my granddaughter at the same elementary school I went to.
Wow.
And one little note on the bug-in before we go too far past it, as everybody knows what an iconic event it is, you sold the name to a couple of European guys, 3 of them, matter of fact, that wanted to do a European bug-in. And I thought you gave them a great deal. Tell us what you sold the name of the bug-in to them for.
$2 a show.
This is a
And a sample of all the stuff.
Yeah, he gets
Oh.
one of everything they make.
Stickers, shirts, hats, I get a sample.
And by the way, the European bug-in
Oh my God.
is unbelievable. If they
Unbelievable.
haven't gone,
It's incredible.
the Schley brothers have gone. I arm twisted them. Amber's gone. I arm twisted her.
They put me in race cars.
It's amazing.
I was at the European
know?
Bug-In and a car from a
And
museum.
it all is a direct from this man.
That's crazy.
And I get a sushi lunch.
Oh,
That's right.
well, that's the deal breaker right there. No, that's an amazing event. So they do a really good job with it. So if you're going to sell it for $2 an event to anybody, those are the guys I would sell it to because they do. It's
They do a great
huge.
job.
And I just had the time of my life. That was like the trip of a lifetime. Like I got interviewed in 3 languages, trackside. I got 2 different race cars. They were just like, go drive this, go drive this. And
You were hooked up.
I was hooked up pretty
I
well.
like the fact that the early ones that they had the bar right on the start line.
Yeah, I had a
You
problem
could be
with
sitting
it.
right here, and the first car's over there by him.
I was racing somebody's car, and I was supposed to race this guy. I said, "Where's this guy?" "Oh, here he comes out of the Chimay bar right next to him." And I go, No. I like a good beer as much as anybody, but get me somebody else who hasn't been in the bar.
Well, even the local police were in there having a drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And they told him, no pictures.
No pictures. They
No
would
pictures.
had my camera out, and they go, "Please put the camera."
So one other thing about the bug-in, what about Tony Kimball, your son, and when was he born?
On the morning of a bug.
So,
That was a stressful morning.
So
No,
you,
he
you missed the delivery or you missed the bug-in?
Oh, no, I
No,
couldn't miss the delivery. I just got in trouble for not going back over there that evening. To the next morning.
that's right.
But no, let me see. We went to the hospital at like 4 a.m, and I had to call Vic up and say, "Hey, I won't be there," which freaked him out. He was going to have to figure out all the stuff I was supposed to do at 6 a.m. But Tony was born in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And even though he weighed almost 10 pounds.
Holy, I have a new respect for Bobby. Like, amazing.
But so I was at the racetrack by 8:15, 8:30. So.
Although there were plenty of people waiting for the gate to open. I know that the Panzers, my club, the very first one, we got there the night before,
Yep.
and we parked right out there in front of that gate on that dirt road leading in.
Next to the alfalfa field.
That's right.
mean, asparagus field.
Yeah.
And I had to buy $400 worth of asparagus once from Baja Bugs out there doing donuts.
Oh,
I like
no.
asparagus, but I wouldn't have been out there. First of all, I wouldn't have-
$400 worth of
wouldn't have had a Baja
asparagus.
Bug.
I think
Yeah,
No
that's a
offense
lot
if
of
you want a
asparagus.
Baja Bug, but
Sorry.
we always used to call Baja Bugs is another vintage VW or cowlick bug ruined.
Yeah, well. Besides sell it to you, or besides sell it to the Mies on the, I don't know. So I have a notch that I've got lined up to restore. My builder passed away suddenly, like 2 weeks before he was going to build it, and I haven't got a plan together yet to build it. So part of me wants to sell the notch and take the Baja and soup it up and go play in the desert for a season. I don't know. I just know that my husband's pouting because I brought home another car.
Well, I don't know for sure about the Baja Bug, but I'm working pretty hard on a sponsorship package for next year for Amber to go race the boys and to stop being a powder puff girl. Although there's nothing wrong with being
careful.
a powder puff girl.
Well, it's
at
a
all.
stepping
I think
stone.
they're great, but she's got to the point to where she needs to go race the boys. So we'll see what happens.
Real Street.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
the retired engine builder might build another one, I'm
Okay.
hearing.
Okay, so tell us about your first VW.
My first VW,
Yeah.
that was the bus.
The
that I
bus you
bought in high school.
went to go surfing.
Okay, I guess I should have said, tell us about your first bug, because you own a couple that are related in some way. I love the story. So tell the story
All my
about
cars are related. So.
the oval
That's
windows.
my excuse to keep them.
Oh, their family.
Yeah, but listen to this story.
Well, I had several oval windows that I bought from.
We're gonna have trouble hearing you later
Oh.
on the recording. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like
Lean in.
teacher you.
Okay.
Paul, could you bring me a beer? I need one.
And you know what? I think he probably needs one too.
I'm close.
You're close, yeah. Please and thank you, my dear.
Red
The
cooler.
red cooler right there. See, we made him ready. So
This
not to
is a
teacher you
very
and make you sit up,
relaxed
but
show.
Well, actually, my first Volkswagen Beetle was a '67 that I bought new from Chick Iverson Volkswagen.
oh wow.
Several members in my club, we decided we wanted to buy a new Volkswagen, but the salesman at Chick Iverson was telling us all about the new 68s were coming, and they were so much better because they had improved this and improved that, and oh my God. So we all waited for the first truckload, and we're down there at the dealership, and they pulled in that truck, and we looked at those and went, how many 67s do you have left? And four of us bought 67 Beetles
Big bumpers.
an hour later.
Headrests.
Oh, those tail lights. The headrests were, oh, yeah. So we didn't want anything to do with those. And we bought 67s. Well, then I had it for a year. Probably had at least 6 or 8 different sets of wheels on it, I know, in that time. It got used for the very first set of fiberglass
Come on in here.
fenders.
You know, you're really coming up in the
Whoa,
VW
look at
world
that.
when Paul Schlay's your
Yeah.
bartender.
Oh my gosh. Thank
Service.
you. Thank you, sweetheart. Come on down.
And to all of you tuning in,
Welcome, everybody.
to every one of you VW freaks, cheers.
Cheers.
Rich, people are asking about, they want to know some history about bugs for you.
Oh, Bugs for You.
Yeah, another one of your businesses.
Well, let me see. Bugs for You
Now I have two.
started.
Hi, Rick.
It started because my wife and I were down in Ensenada for the Baja 1000, and we were in our brand new '79 Westphalia, and we're down at the Bahia Hotel, and we're having lunch in the bar with Lane Evans, who was the editor of the magazine then, and he said, he was talking. He goes, "Why don't you write something for the magazine?" And I go, and I'm telling him about a dealership we found in Tijuana a couple years earlier, and it was a dealership that was open from like 53 to like 61 and closed.
All the good years.
And so we were down there, and we found the place and bought some parts off of the old owner. It's Dr. Bustamante. He was a cool guy. And I'm telling him about that. He says, "Well, write about that." I go, "Okay." So we're sort of backing into it, and I'm writing about, it's a 3-part column. And I'm in the first one, I'm writing about looking for it, even though I'd already found it. And so as soon as that article came out, I got a phone call from this German guy, and he says, "Hey, I'm who you're looking for." I sort of played dumb and said, "Yeah? Who are you?" He goes, "Well, I was the parts manager and the service manager for the dealership in Tijuana. And it was open from 1960 to 1971 or 2, right when they opened the factory in Puebla. The Mexican government says, "Okay, you buy all your Volkswagens and parts from us now." And the family that owned the dealership, that actually owned Sparkless Distributor, the Mercedes dealership, and the Purina,
The cat food.
cat and food stuff.
They were well off.
They're very well off. And they just said, "The hell with you," and closed it down. And they moved all the parts into a big warehouse. So we went down to look at that. And there was so much stuff. We kept buying stuff. We'd go down there and we'd buy $1,000 worth of parts and put them in our 2 vehicles.
And it was a lot of parts for $1,000.
Yeah, a lot. And we'd come back, and I had an office for Periscope then, for the bug-ins and the off-road races. You have to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
And I had so many parts that, and I had a partner, Dave Craig, and he had a business in Grass Valley that he already had called Bugs for You. And so we decided we'd open a Bugs for You in Orange because we had so many parts. But there was a learning curve that a shop is not successful just on all the little goodies you find. You got to have points and plugs and oil and batteries and all the other stuff for the car. So we sort of ran into some financial problems, and it started off 4 of us, actually. There was, I forget the name of the kid that worked for Truhoff, because Truhoff had just closed down, and Jeff Walters and Dave Craig and myself. And Jeff and the other guy, they lasted a month when we couldn't pay any salaries the first month. And then Dave gave up about August, about 3 months in. And I just sold a couple cars and put all my money into that and started Bugs for You. And then we ran into a problem with Volkswagen.
Oh.
We're using the name Bug.
Yeah.
So I went over and had a meeting with a lawyer for Mr. Bug, because I knew they were still Mr. Bug. And there's rumors that they'd had some problems. So I talked to the lawyer, and the lawyer basically said, "You don't want to spend the money that they spent
To fight, yeah.
to fight it. And they aren't going to be Mr. Bug for a whole much longer. They can only get to use that name for a couple of years, and then it'll be the corporate name, but So we changed to BFY, and then they came after me again, goes, "Well, BFY means Bugs for You." And I argued that, well, only the people that already knew
Mm-hmm.
It's Bugs for You. A new guy goes down the street. He doesn't know what BFY stands for.
It stands
And,
for a big FU.
And by that time, I'd done a few favors for Volkswagen Michigan and been on some advisory committee things and a couple stuff. So I called a couple friends and I sort of got a reverse Dear John letter saying, we've decided not to follow up on this any further.
Oh, interesting.
So they let BFY go. To Bug You. Put them on the car, put that car on the cover.
Yeah.
And so I remember that Bugs for You had an iconic location next to another longtime shop.
Oh, somebody heard of Fat Performance.
Turns out we were the compressed air source.
Oh yeah.
For Bugs for You.
I just plumbed the line through the
right
wall
through the
into their
wall.
shop and hooked into their
So wait.
compressor.
You guys were neighbors then, huh?
Right next door.
One wall.
For who doesn't know, Fat Performance is what?
It was a little Volkswagen shop.
Just a little blip on the radar.
Fleming, Aronson, and Thurber.
Oh, okay. So, but
Because
that's
Fleming,
you.
Aronson, and Thurber sounded like a law firm.
Oh, yes.
So I looked. I said, "Oh, look, we're fat." That's how that became. So it's a good thing that we didn't. It's a good thing we didn't hire Steve Rowland, a dear friend of mine, to put that R in there in the wrong place. That's where it's at.
Thin may be in, but that's where it's at.
But anyway, again, back to Ovals Only, because that was a neat little mail order business, and you did the parts in your garage on that same Lucero way that you lived on.
I had to build another garage.
Yes.
Oh, poor baby. It must be terrible to have another garage.
Well, I mean, I have
a lot.
We're talking about a lot of cars.
Yeah, I need another garage.
There's so many parts I weren't room for the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I when we bought our house that we're in now, one of the attracted to me is it was at the end of a cul-de-sac, and at the time they were just putting all the utilities underground, so there was an easement on the side of it, and so there was not enough room for a second house on the cul-de-sac. So my lot's just twice as big as anybody else's, and it was a 3-car garage, nice, ranch California house.
Yeah.
And I built a 3-garage extra deep 2-story for the office connected to it. So when you drive up to the house, you see a 2-car garage, 2-car, and a 1-car, big one. And then I just did everything out of the house.
And there's a huge side yard, which usually has a couple of vehicles parked in it.
Yeah, there's a trailer and a double cab in there right now.
Oh no, poor baby.
But it was the ultimate setup. And I just got up in the morning, had a cup of coffee, and went up a set of stairs, and I was at work.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the Saddleback deal, you also put on Baja Cross.
Yes. Off-road races.
Off-road races.
Short course.
Yeah. It was a neat venue, a really great event. It was one of the closest ones that the Fat Boys ever had to go to, because we went to all the off-road races because we were doing a lot of motors. And that also involved your relationship with a lot of motorcycle riders. So tell us about Sierra Safari.
Sierra Safari was an event that we put on as Saddleback Park, and it was an industry ride. Originally out of June Lake, later it moved over to Mammoth, and it sort of just went down off the mountain and around through the high desert behind Mono Lake and up and over by the Bodie Ghost Town and around and through and over to Hawthorne, Nevada. It was about 125 miles each way. No asphalt, except you crossed a couple highways, but that was
These are some famous name guys out there on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, there's lots of the White Brothers, and Dave Aldenas, and Bassani, and
there's a particularly interesting stop that was used sometimes on the way.
On the way?
On the way of the cruise. And
what stops?
Wasn't there a house of ill
Half of
repute?
that was Saturday after all they got there.
That wasn't on the cruise. That was before the cruise. Once we were ready.
I was just the driver.
I'm just trying. Oh,
I
I
understand,
see.
but
Yeah,
interesting
the
little
hotel
sidebar.
gave me a station wagon, and anybody wanted to get in it out in front of the hotel got in, and I drove out, dropped them off.
Just the driver, surely.
Just the driver.
Ask him
So there's a this.
this.
What's the story with the alligator?
The alligator. We're really hopping around here.
I'm sorry, it's the ADD train of thought here.
In high school, there were several of us that had an alligator. You could buy.
Wait, several of you together owned one alligator?
No,
or
we
you
all
all
had our
had
own
alligators?
Yeah, but the way you got it is really interesting.
Right. In the Boys Life magazine, which if you were a Boy Scout, you got it automatically. There was an ad, and you could order an alligator, and it
From
came
Florida.
in a little cardboard tube from Florida. A live alligator just stuck in the tube and sent it to you.
You imagine trying to do that today?
Yeah, no, there'd be some people after you for that, but you know, it was only this big when you got them, and put it in a terrarium and
You feed it fingers.
goldfish. They start off with goldfish, and then when they get to about this big, they graduate to baby chicks.
Oh,
So we'd go out to the farm supply house in Santa Ana, right catty corner from Rex West on their famous
Fifth and rate.
Fifth and Rate, and we'd buy 10 chicks and take them home, and you had a little cage for those, and about once or twice a week throw
Oh,
one of those
in there.
and they'd get it to be larger.
larger. And that's a good word for alligator growth.
And a friend of mine had one in high school, and he lived in one of the newer houses built at that time, which all had block walls with block planters in the corner. And so one of the block planters was just dug out and filled with mud, and the alligator lived there. And the alligator got to be about, so big. But unfortunately, some of the local cats got curious. And one time
They started disappearing.
we'd sit up in his bedroom, which was upstairs looking down on the backyard. And somebody go, oh, look, there's one. And the cat's walking along the block wall. And it just walks, and it's looking at the alligator, and pretty soon it's hopped down to the top of the bricks. And then it would make the mistake of getting down in the thing, and the alligator just sit there. So the neighbor lady, another neighbor lady, found out that it ate their cat and called animal control, and we got the word at high school that animal control was coming after school to pick up the alligator. So
You went and let it loose, didn't you?
we ditched school, and I think it was my friend's 58 Chevy, and went over to my friend's house and got the alligator. And it took two good people that had done it before to know how to wrap a rag around its mouth, twisted, and get the tail, put it in a rug and roll it up in a rug, put it in the back of the car, and we drove out and dumped it in Peters Canyon Reservoir
Oh, great.
in Orange.
See, this is why on the news they're like, oh, random sighting of an alligator. They're not coming out of the sewer system. They're not.
Peters Canyon Reservoir is just down the street here.
Y'all don't go skinny dipping in Peters
But there
Canyon Reservoir.
There was nothing there. It was still a reservoir for the orange trees. And so there was a Girl Scout camp nearby, but that was it. And we dumped it in there in 1966. So about
Story goes on.
So at Saddleback, we were the stopping point for UPS, Highway Patrol, and at that point the Irvine Patrol guys that drove around little green scouts all over. And so we get all the news that way. And one time the guy came through and said, "Hey, they found an alligator in Peters Canyon."
Is his name Bob?
And
I lost Bob in 66.
now it's a 6-foot alligator. And so, of course, they never get away with this now, but they just went down there and threw a chicken out in the middle of the pond and waited. And when an alligator came out, they shot it, took it out of the thing.
Poor Bob.
Oh, bye, Bob.
Bye. But we all thought pet alligators were pretty good.
Yeah, I wanted just like a decoder ring or something growing up through the mail, not an
But I
alligator.
remember seeing in the register the story about an alligator out there, and I went, bingo.
We didn't raise our hand to say we did it.
You were like, wow, that's weird.
That's exactly what I told the guys. That's really weird.
Right.
Yeah.
That's quite the sea monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Alligator farm by Knott's. Interesting.
Yeah, right next door.
I did not know
The
that.
unique part of the story is the fact that you could mail a cup $5 or $2 or whatever it was, and they'd send you an alligator in the mail. And it would show up next day. Oh.
Any other comments or anything we should acknowledge on there, Corey?
With your Baja bug.
It's so cute from 30 feet away. It really needs paint.
So
It's a 30-footer.
then surfing has always been a big part of your life. So what about Wardies?
Oh, I like Wardies.
What is Wardies?
Tell them the extent that you like Wardies. That's a surfboard manufacturer, guy.
Got it.
Wardy was a shop in Laguna Beach. And so when you lived in South Corona del Mar and you went south, that's a shop to stop for supplies and a BS for a little bit or whatever. And so when I just had moved to Corona del Mar, so this was 1966, one of my new buddies down there had put money down on a Wardy. And
which is a board, right?
with surfboard.
Okay.
And he got in trouble, and his mom told him he couldn't have it. And his mom told me that because he'd already put like $50 down on it, which they were only like $100 then. So she told me I could have it if I went and paid it off. So I was all excited. I got a new board. I went down and paid it off. I brought it back. I went surfing the next day. It sucked. It was heavy. It was no spoon. I hated it. So I immediately sold it to somebody else. Well, then moving forward to the 80s, and several of my friends, including Ed Economy, who's another Volkswagen name, a bunch of them, they began collecting vintage surfboards. But all the expensive, the Harbor Trestle specials and the whatever, they were big money, and everybody collected those. So I decided I would collect Wardies because nobody really,
even though you hated one.
And you have a few.
Yeah, 25 or so.
I have a foam soft top board right now.
I just got one given to me last week for my granddaughter.
Aw.
A Jenny Lopez soft top. Very cool.
I can't wait till you get her out there at Big Wednesday. That's going to be so fun.
So this points out something. Mr. Kimball always has been and will continue to be a collector. If he likes something, he doesn't collect one or two. There's a certain style of toy that's made by a guy in Germany. Have I got this right? Kuntz.
The late Mr. Kuntz.
And they're fantastic. How many of those do you have?
75.
What are they?
They're a Volkswagen model.
Uh-huh.
This scale that he makes by hand.
Are they like carved in wood? Or are they like
he makes his own fiberglass molds for the body.
Okay.
He makes his own little tin chassis, and then he resin casts whatever it needs: wheels, taillights, pieces.
They're amazing.
And hand paints them, and every one of them is an actual car.
Oh.
Museum cars, people's cars. I have two of my own cars.
Wow.
And they're just so cool. And there's not that many of them. He only made it.
Well, there's at least 75 of them.
Yeah, but he only made like 1,000 cars in his whole
Wow.
life.
And every chance he gets, if one comes up.
Once comes up, I'm there.
They're pretty awesome.
And that's the whole point. We talked about the surfboards. We talked about the Kuntz. You collected some skateboards.
Couple.
No, how many do you
What's
have?
a couple stand for?
I don't know, 100. But I've sold off some. My family's pushing me to get rid of this.
You've redefined a couple to the world right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that when I get home to my husband. He's going to say how many cars you have, and I said almost a couple.
Yeah, that's all.
It's a rounding error. Rounding
I
error.
just have a couple.
Yeah,
So-
what is that?
so-
Penny's Office Space.
So another topic we need to hit on here is your connection with a couple of things. Hawaii, the Van Doren family, who makes the Vans
and
shoes.
drug delivery.
Oh, yeah.
I jumped ahead on the list. It's over here. I can't not ask this question.
That was an early job.
That
He
was
used to-
earlier than-
He used to deliver
I worked
prescriptions.
I worked for a pharmacy in Corona Del Mar.
Yeah.
Large Harbor Pharmacy.
I'm just
Okay.
pointing out
And
what a well-rounded guy.
And at that point in time, a lot of the more well-to-do ladies used an awful lot of, rainbows and yellow jackets and
Yeah,
and-
mommy's
and
mommy's.
Mommy's little helper.
Yeah.
sort
Mommy's
of
little
the
helper.
movie- like the what was the movie? Valley of the Dolls.
Ah,
That was it.
yes.
And so I delivered all these in a 1964 panel bus.
Oh, nice.
and it had a cab divider in it, and we put big giant speakers in there and a Pioneer giant stereo, so we could.
You rolled up and handed off mommy's little helpers, huh?
This is back in the day when you could see Volkswagens of the kind we like all over, driving around daily.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a common thing.
I have loved this because we've interacted at races and I've gotten to say hi and give you a hug and say hi to Bobby and all that, but like really kind of grasping the vastness of your experiences has been really super fun. I mean, it's a little bit of everything, right? So I'm getting like a minute warning. So this is why I'm trying to like.
So how about this? We didn't get to talk about restaurants. Okay, there's a whole another deal there.
It sounds like a part
There's-
two.
We need
Hawaii.
to talk about Hawaii and the Vans follow-up deal. So, you know what? You might have to tune in again and see part 2 of Mr. Richard Kimball. And we want to thank him. We want to thank the Schley brothers. We want to thank
Our artist.
Corey, Jeffrey, our media guy, our
Shin,
engineer, Shin for
our
coming
peanut
by.
gallery.
He's our media guy too now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And all of you people out there tuning in, we want to thank.
I have one more.
Yep.
Very, very important to me, especially right now. I want to send some love to my club. Sometimes it's hard to have a club as family and stick together through some hard times. So we have some stuff going on right now, and I just want to tell the San Diego locals that I love you. I'm proud of you all, and thank you for being family.
And we want to thank our sponsor, Cool Tech Motorworks, and all the wonderful people who tune in and subscribe. Please do subscribe. You can ask us questions. We may or may not care about them, but we will try to. So thank you very much for tuning in today. We appreciate all of you.
Well, and if you subscribe, you don't have to ask us what time it starts because it'll tell you
And
automatically.
remember, support every VW event you can.
Go to events.
Keep them going.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for putting everything on.